Why so many monsters from mythology are female? Monsters reveal our deepest fears. Female monsters are especially telling. Here's what they say about us. Picture this: a beautiful woman with snakes for hair. One look turns you to stone. That's Medusa, possibly the most famous female monster. But she wasn't always a monster. According to the myth, Medusa was once a lovely maiden, but Poseidon attacked her in Athena's temple. The goddess transformed Medusa into a monster. It's a classic case of victim blaming. It reflects how myths often punished women for men's actions. But Medusa isn't alone. Take Scylla and Charybdis. These female sea monsters guarded a narrow strait. They threatened to destroy any passing ship. Scylla had 6 heads. Each was ready to snatch a sailor. Charybdis could swallow entire vessels. Why make these dangers female? Some scholars think it represents male anxiety about women's power. The untamed sea becomes a metaphor for the destructive potential of femininity. By conquering these monsters, heroes assert control over female forces. Not all female monsters are ugly though. Some are dangerously beautiful. Sirens lured sailors to their doom with songs. These bird women promised knowledge of all worldly things, but their true intent was to feast on human flesh. The siren myth shows how societies often view women's intellect and allure as threats. Greek myths aren't the only source of female monsters. Many cultures have their own versions. In Indonesia, there's Kuntilanak. She's the vengeful spirit of a woman who died in childbirth. She has long black hair and blood-smeared clothes. Kuntilanak chases men and preys on pregnant women and infants. These mother figures pop up in myths worldwide. They often represent fears about childbirth and infant mortality. In ancient times, pregnancy was incredibly dangerous. People invented monsters to explain their anxiety. Speaking of dangerous mothers, let's talk about Lamia. This Greek monster was once a beautiful queen, but Zeus's jealous wife Hera forced Lamia to eat her own children. Driven mad by grief, Lamia began devouring other people's babies. It's a potent cocktail of cultural fears. There's the evil stepmother trope. There's anxiety about women's sexuality. And there's the terror of mothers harming their children. Even wisdom can be monstrous when it comes from a woman. The Sphinx had a woman's head and a lion's body. She devoured anyone who couldn't solve her riddles. Oedipus finally outwitted her. The Sphinx then killed herself in despair. This story might reflect ancient fears about educated women. Knowledge is power, after all, but is not all doom and gloom. Some female figures in mythology are powerful in positive ways. Athena, the goddess of wisdom and war, embodies traditionally masculine virtues. Yet she remains feminine. She represents strategy and just warfare. This contrasts with Ares, the male god of brutal violence. Then there are the Amazons. They built their own society. Figures like Hippolyta and Penthesilea fought alongside the greatest male heroes. Clearly myths saw women's power as more than monstrous.